Hey guys, Mythos Gamer, welcome back for turn number 3 of our third game. Before we get started, we're going to do a quick overview of the items all our investigators have. First, we're going to start with Joe Diamond. Joe has a sneak skill, giving +1 to sneak, and when you spend a clue token to add a sneak check, you add a bonus die. He has his starting common item, the 45 automatic, a physical weapon that gives +4 to combat checks, and is one-handed. He has the tome, the Director's Diary. During any phase, you can discard it when the terror level is increased to reduce the amount is increased by 1. Surprisingly, we haven't had to use this yet. And he has the Petrifying Solution, a physical weapon that gives +8 to combat checks, but you have to discard it after you use it, and it ignores physical resistance and the Endless Special ability. Next we have Diana. She has her Silver Twilight Lodge membership. Whenever you have an encounter at the Silver Twilight Lodge, you have an encounter at the Inner Sanctum instead. She has the skill Expert Occultist. You can exhaust or reroll a spell check. She has 2 spells. The first is Storm of Spirits. It's a casting modifier -1, costs 0 sanity. And during any phase you can cast and exhaust to gain +3 to combat checks and use your lore to save your fight for combat checks until the end of turn. Her second spell is Summon the Beast Within. Casting modifier -2, costs 0 sanity. During Upkeep you may cast and exhaust to take the Inner Beast special card. And her last item, the Gladius of Carcassonne, a magical weapon that gives +4 to combat checks, +5 if your other hand is empty. Next we'll look at Lola's items. Lola has the Bravery skill. During any phase she can exhaust or reroll a horror check. She also has the Summon the Beast Within spell. She has 2 common items. The first is the Derringer, a physical weapon that gives +2 to combat checks, and it cannot be lost or stolen. Her second common item, the Leyline Map. You may ignore all penalties and skill checks caused by Environment Mythos cards. And she also has a Gladius of Carcassonne. And our final investigator, Min. She has the Marksman skill. During any phase you can exhaust or reroll a combat check. She also has the spell Storm of Spirits. Her first common item is another Leyline Map. And her second common item is the very useful Press Pass. You can exhaust when you gain 1 or more clue tokens to gain an extra one. Her first unique item is the Carcassonne page. During any phase you can exhaust to either give 1 item or receive 1 item from any investigator, regardless of where they are. And her final item, the tome, the King in Yellow. During movement phase you can exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a lore -2 check. If you pass, gain 4 clue tokens, lose 1 sanity, and discard the King in Yellow. If you fail, nothing happens. Alright guys, now that we reviewed all our items, we're going to pass the first player token from Diana to Lola and go to our upkeep phase. Since Joe Diamond has 8 clue tokens, I think we're going to send him to that gate. But there's a ghoul in the Merchant District streets. He's going to sneak by it. Right now he only has a sneak of 1, but because he has a focus of 3, we're going to adjust it all the way down to 4. He only has a speed of 3 now, but only needs 2 movement points during the movement phase, so we should be okay. During Dinah's turn, I think she's going to go after a clue token, so Min's going to help her out. Min's going to exhaust her Carcassonne page to transfer an item over to Diana. She's going to transfer her Press Pass. This way, if Diana does get a clue token, she'll get an extra one. That's all we're going to do this turn for our upkeep. Move on to our movement phase. First we have Lola. We need to start clearing out some monsters. So she's going to go from Hibbs Roadhouse to the Easttown streets. And then from the Easttown streets to Rivertown streets, where she's going to fight the Elder Thing. The Elder Thing has a -3 to horror checks. Lola only has a will of 2. So she's automatically going to take 2 sanity damage. This will put her at 4 sanity. For combat, it gives +0, does 1 damage and has 2 toughness. And if you fail, you have to discard weapons or spells. She has a fight of 4, and then +2 from her Derringer, and +4 from her Gladius. We give her 10 die, and she needs 2 successes. Here are the first 5. 1 success. And our second 5. More than enough. She'll gain 2 toughness and monster trophies. This will bring her a total of 3. Next for movement, we have Min. She's going to move from the Science Building to the streets of Miskatonic University. From the streets of Miskatonic University to the streets of Uptown. And finally, from the streets of Uptown to the woods where she'll collect a clue token. This will bring her up to 6. Min has a speed of 5 and she used 3 movement points. She used her last 2 to attempt the King in Yellow. She has to make a lore -2 check. She has a lore of 4, but she also gets an additional +1 from the Unusual Moonrises environment card. So she will roll 3 die for this. And she got a success. She will gain 4 clue tokens, bringing her to a total of 10, and she will lose 1 sanity, bringing her down to 5. Next is Joe Diamond. He's going to attempt to get to that gate to relay, but first he has to go from the Unnameable to the Merchant District streets and try to sneak past this ghoul. The ghoul has a sneak modifier of -3. Joe gains a +1 to sneak from the Unusual Moonrises environment card. He also gets an additional +1 sneak from his sneak skill. He has a base sneak of 4, +2 from the sneak skill and Unusual Moonrises, -3 from the ghoul. He'll roll 3 die. And he got a success, so he will successfully sneak by the ghoul. So he will go from the streets to the Invisited Isle, and he'll go through the gate during the encounters phase. And our last investigator, Diana, has a movement of 3. She's going to go from the Silver Twilight Lodge to the French Hill streets, then from the French Hill streets to the Southside streets, and then finally from the Southside streets to the Historical Society, which will grab the clue token, bringing her up to 7. She's also going to exhaust her press pass. Since she just got a clue token, this will give her an extra one, bringing her up to 8. Alright, that ends our movement phase. It was pretty successful. We're going to go on to our Arkham Encounters phase. Because Lola fought that Elder thing, she couldn't move any further, so since she's in the Rivertown streets, she will not have an encounter this turn. Min is at the woods, so we'll draw an encounter card for her. An easel and paints have been left here, abandoned by the artist. Not far away is a still life he was painting. Draw a card from the common item deck. If it has a weapon, discard it. Otherwise, keep it. And we drew another Director's Diary. It's a tome that lets you discard it whenever the terror level increases to reduce the amount increases by 1. This is great. We have 2 Director's Diaries, and our terror level is still at 0, so this might give us a little extra time to get more clue tokens. Next we have Joe Diamond at the Invisited Isle. There's a gate to relay, so he'll get pulled through. And during our Otherworld encounter phase, he'll draw an encounter card. And our last investigator in Arkham, Laura, is at the Historical Society. The Historical Society is holding more educational discussion groups than normal, thanks to the buzz of the King in Yellow performances. Make a +0 check in your lowest current skill. If you pass, draw 1 skill. Diana has a skill of 1 in sneak and a skill of 1 in luck, so we will roll 1 die. And she did not have a success. That's it for our Arkham Encounters phase. Move on to our Otherworld encounter phase. We have Joe Diamond at Arlay. We need a red or yellow Otherworld encounter card. Our first one is green. We'll keep drawing. Our next one is blue. Another green. Another blue. Alright, we finally drew a yellow one and relays on it. A steamer ship looms out of the fog. If you jump on board, return to Arkham on the gate you entered and place an explored marker on it. Then make a luck -3 check. If you fail, they end up being pirates and you lose all of your money and items. It'd be awesome to go ahead and come back to Arkham with an explored marker, but Joe only has a luck of 3. So he would lose all his money and all his items. I can't add any clue tokens to it because he only has 8. Just enough to close the gate and seal it. I think we'll just take the slow route and walk our way through the other world. That's it for our other world encounter phase. We're going to move on to our Mythos phase. And we drew our first The Next Act Begins Mythos card. Before we handle the headline, we're going to monster movement. Alright, all monsters will be moving this turn. We have a hexagon ghoul and a circle witch. We'll take care of the ghoul first. He will be going the direction of the white arrow. He's going to move from the Merchant District streets to the North Side streets. Lucky for us, none of our investigators are hanging around the North Side. And just next to the North Side, we have downtown, where our witch is an independent square. She's going to follow the direction of the black arrow. So she moved to the downtown streets. Now onto our headline. The terror level is increased by 1. However, no gate is open this turn. Let's take care of that first. Before we increase the terror level, Joe Diamond is going to discard his director's diary to reduce the amount it's increased by 1. Alright, the next part says, the next act of the charity performance of the King in Yellow has begun. The first player must put the top card of the act deck into play. Act 1 says, when this card enters play, the investigators may immediately add 2 Doom tokens to the Doom track, return its card at the top of the act deck. If the investigators do not do so, this card remains in play for the rest of the game. Once in play, this card has no effect other than noting the passage of time. Right now, Hester has 3 Doom tokens on him out of 13, and we don't want to be in Act 1 this early, so I think we're adding 2 Doom tokens. Well, the good news is, no gate open this turn, so no Doom token from that. Unfortunately, we still had to add 2 Doom tokens, so now we're at 5. And the final part of the next act begins. The first player gains 1 clue token. Lola is our first player this turn. She has 5, so this will give her 6 clue tokens. Alright guys, that's it for turn 3. I think we had a much more active turn than we did last time. We got our first taste of the King in Yellow. Not too bad. We were able to hold it off for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.